Brilliant weekend if you're a South African sports lover, so happy to be here.
Yes, it really has been a good one. Now let's start off with the Proteas. I mean, really going into this World Cup, I don't know if we were expecting much, but what happened is not what we expected. And unfortunately, the team seemed to wake up a little bit too late.
Typical South African sporting teams when they fail at the global stage, that they don't get off on the right note, and then when it doesn't matter, that's when they kick into gear, when there's nothing to play for, which is really an embarrassment because we know that South African cricketing teams are really full of talent. If you look at that squad, it's a squad full of brilliant players that can get into any international side. They're just not playing like it. And it's not nice, one, to be a traveling fan, to go to the World Cup and have to watch that. Two, it's not nice to be at home and have those guys playing that kind of cricket as ambassadors of the rest of the nation. It didn't go according to plan. I'm pretty sure everybody can see that, can tell. And you have to say it's not a skill thing. There has to be more to the failures than what we are currently knowing about. And only time will tell. Whether time will tell immediately when the guys return from England, or we'll have to wait until somebody writes a book when they're 45, we'll only see.
Okay, but now, for me, I think as a country, we just deserve so much more. The World Cup is a stage where it's not time for us to be figuring out, does this work, does this not work? It's the place where we go there and we say, this is what we've been doing for 4 years. And the Proteas seem to have missed this memo.
Well, I mean, you've pretty much laid out exactly what a World Cup is about. We're not there to figure out who should be our opener. We're not there to figure out who's our replacement bowlers. That's what the rest of the world does. And somehow we seem to always, have this right in place for 3 years, and then on the World Cup year, just stuff that shouldn't be happening happens.
Yes.
And unfortunately for us, I still say one of our biggest pitfalls was that whole A.B. de Villiers saga. And I think we actually do not pay more attention to how that energy actually affected the entire camp than it really did. Because can you imagine what you would feel like if you were at the World Cup and be wondering whether you'd be there if A.B. de Villiers would have been there. Also, injuries do not help. But injuries are part of the sporting fraternity.
Every team has injuries.
Now it goes to responsibility. And I think our guys haven't taken responsibility. One, our captain hasn't taken responsibility. He's always looked to shift responsibility when the team falls short. He'll either put blame on Petluwayo not bowling well, or he'll put blame on Rabada going to the IPL, or he'll look to Elungi Ngidi, who's struggling with a bit of weight. He won't shoulder the responsibility. And for me, I cannot accept that. But we learn, I guess. We have been learning since we've participated in all World Cups. I just think we need to set the tone. How we set the tone, Cricket South Africa needs to take a stand now. Whoever comes back, what is the decision? So we already know that JP and Imran have retired. So those vacancies are there for somebody to put their hand up. It's not that we've got a shortage of players that are putting their hands up to say, I'm ready to fulfill the mandate. How beautiful it is now that we just see Rassie on screen. He's probably been one of the standout players. And he almost missed his ticket to go to England, just to show you that we're just not doing what we are supposed to be doing when it comes, one, to the selection of players to get to the World Cup.
I want to talk more on that selection of players. I mean, we've had the likes of your Hendricks, your Riza, your Bavuma, players that really have shown that they deserve, they've earned a place in the team, but they're not making the team.
In my honest opinion, players that should be there.
Yes, and the question comes now, how do we select this team? Is it based on, you've been here with us for so long, we owe it to you as a nation, and I mean, it's a national team. You have to earn your place. It's not something that's a birthright.
I think sports fans in South Africa need to learn that they set the tone. So if you look at English sports, from football to cricket, fans set the tone, because essentially the 12 guys, the 11 guys and the 12 men that are on the field are ambassadors for the rest of the nation. And if we do not have a say, then why call the team a South African team? You cannot travel to the World Cup if your performances on the field do not show it. Two, there is no given birthright for you to be there. 3, just because you've been a long servant of the game does not mean that you deserve a ticket to the World Cup, or
Yes.
you are part of the first 5 people that get called to the World Cup. So the sooner we get to that point where we are as ruthless as the Australians, as the Indians, and as the English now,
Yes.
who actually dropped one of their star performers in
Yeah.
terms of the opening partnership, because they just were not fully respecting what it means to wear the badge. If we never ever get to that point and Ubuntu is just part of our selection, we will never compete.
Wait, then we're going nowhere slowly. This always happens. As soon as we get into the juicy stuff, we run out of time. So I want us to touch quickly on Bafana Bafana. I mean, after them winning against Egypt yesterday, the FA boss in Egypt, he sacked the whole technical team, including the coach. He himself has stepped down, really just showing that this was not the result that was expected from literally the whole world.
Put your neck on the line, and that's what they show. And you'll see that even with the Nigerian FA, is when a guy is standing for election or a guy gets appointed, he says, I will deliver this. If I do not deliver this, my job is on the line.
Yes.
And that's something that we also need to learn. For the Egyptians, they love football. You watch that in the CAF Confederation and the Champions League.
Yes.
And you see how when those teams do not do well, tears.
I mean, we saw Mo Salah yesterday literally being brought to tears after that loss.
That's what it means to them. It doesn't matter what tournament it is, they just play to win. And when they don't win, it's something that they're not used to, because winning is a contagious feeling. But we played brilliantly.
Amazing.
We played brilliantly, and I think for once, Stuart Baxter's tactics that we've seen throughout the competition actually fit the bill against an Egyptian side that is full of stars. Whether that same tactic will be employed going into the next matches,
with Nigeria,
time will tell. I am slightly more optimistic because we've found a way of getting over Nigeria lately, but I'm just a bit worried that the tactics that we are employing, or we have employed so far in the tournament, might not just do the trick. But it was brilliant. The team played for one another, and they really played in a way that showed that they understand that back at home, they've got something to prove. And it was brilliant. I mean, look at the stadium. A sea of red,
beautiful.
and we just turned it around.
And a handful of South African supporters. Lunga, unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Pleasure.
And we didn't even get a chance to